What's up everybody, BATJAC J.W. We're back in here. Thanks for clicking on the video. Thanks for tuning into the channel. If you're not a subscriber, check out the channel. Think about subscribing. We're always pumping out videos every week, so check it out. So today we're going to be talking about 1911 prices, and that is kind of almost like a shaky thing to talk about because there's all kinds of 1911s out there. Now it's not like how it was before where you only had a few companies that were making them. Now you have just an abundance of companies. There's just everybody makes one, and there's a lot to choose from. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the prices of these things. I'm going to be showing you a couple of my 1911s that I have made the purchase on and things like that. Okay, so basically what I'm talking about in this video is kind of the standpoint from somebody that's just your average guy with the or gal with your average income. I'm not somebody that can afford to spend $3,000-4,000 on a 1911 pistol. Okay, so at that point, I start to look at those, and I'm not bashing them. I'm sure some of these companies, like Wilson Combat, Ed Brown, all these companies, I'm sure they produce an excellent product. I've never had one in my hands to actually see that, so I'm not going to take away anything from them, just because they have a high price tag, a price tag that's burns your hands when you touch it. But no, I'm definitely all ears. I would more than likely, or more than happy, to be able to have somebody say, well, here's why this gun is this price, because of this and this, and I would probably go, oh, okay, that makes sense, But I'm talking about your average person, that basically, without trying to insult somebody, what is the price that we can pay with still getting a good product? What is it going to be? Is it going to be something you're going to take to the range? Is it a carry gun, a home defense gun, anything like that? The big leap for me that I took, honestly, was buying this Kimber. This is a Kimber Desert Warrior. This is about as pretty much as a custom 1911 as I own. I bought this off a gun broker, and I bought this, roughly about $1,100, I think it was. It's a pretty big steep price for me to pay for it, and for something that was definitely going to be something I was going to shoot at the range, and plus this is about as tactical of a 1911 as I own, as most of the ones I own are or have owned. Got rid of a few over the years. Is pretty much in this kind of configuration. This is a Colt reintroduction of the war gun. This is their kind of, I think these came out in 2009, and they're pretty basic. These things are a take back, a real throwback to the way the original 1911 looked. Flat mainspring housing that's smooth, lanyard loop, and all that kind of good stuff. We got the military roll markings, even reproduced the United States property stamp on it with a unique serial number, WW1. Okay, so this is just something nostalgic that I just had to have. Really a cool look. I've always liked the look of the old school stuff. But all right, so back to the prices. There's a lot of stuff out there. We're going to be doing a review on some soon. We got, like, for instance, the Thesaus. I believe that's how you name the Thesis or whatever. Hopefully that's how you pronounce the name. Those things are like $300. You can go to them on Bud's Gun Shop. They're fairly inexpensive. You got Rock Island Armory, their stuff coming out there, and this stuff is fairly low in price. You're coming up. Some of them are breaking the $500 marker. Some of them are just under that. I've seen some like American Classic. Those have been pretty inexpensive. So when you start looking at that price, and I always refer to it like to the polymer Wonder pistols coming in there at the $500-600 range, sometimes $700, and what that reflects to on a 1911 basis, and what kind of 1911 are you going to get for that kind of money. Some of these Springfield armories, they're offering what they call the loaded package, which pretty much has all the features: the high ride beaver tail, the skeletonized commander style hammer, better sights than your standard GI stuff, with the lowered ejection wall, and sometimes they put the flaring on there, of course the scallops on the frame and all that. Serrations, cocking serrations, if you would. These are spaced out, angled slightly forward, which I like. It kind of enhances the look on it, and they put them on the front too. So, and then this one's got the rail on the bottom, so you can put a tack light or whatever on it. This one definitely, like I said, going back to it, this one's got all the Christmas goodies on it, pretty much, if you would. This has got Merple Light glow-in-the-dark sights, and I put the Magpul grips on these. I just like them better. They're thinner, everything like that. So the checkering is very aggressive. So, and for me, being a lefty, ambidextrous safety, thumb safety, I like that a lot. You know, that's just something that I had to have on my 1911 because being left-handed. Anyway, but those are some of the features you can start to look for, you know, when you start looking at the prices. Unless strictly the GI look is kind of what you want, you know, and those you can pretty much pick them up for, you know, I want to say $500-600. Springfield Armory makes really good, nice mil spec 1911s. But you know, if you think about it, if you want to really go to the mil spec and you want it to look like the old GI gun, you know, the one thing I did notice about those Springfields is their serrations, even though they're the smaller, you know, closer serrations, but they angle them slightly forward. That is not the way they used to come. If you look at this really close, they're straight up and down. They're not angled at all. That's the one thing that Springfield has done. I think they have some that aren't, but all the ones I've seen are slightly forward. They're the same style and everything, but they just slightly angle them forward. You know, I'm not sure exactly what to take on that. My favorite GI style 1911 is the one that, like the World War II styled ones, because of the finish. They had this greenish, you know, charcoal finish to them that's really neat. I've seen a few companies that reproduce that. That's really cool. Taylor and Company actually had started producing some that were like kind of OD green looking and everything. Those are really neat. And Springfield Armory had one that's a GI mil-spec one that was like actually called the OD green. I still am looking for one of those. Have not found one. You know, so anyway, that's all kinds of stuff you can look for if you're, you know, kind of looking for the budget 1911 that you want for the GI style, you know, $500-600 range. They a new one that came out, I don't know how new it is. I mean, it's been out for a little while. It's the Inland GI Classic. The Inland company is, you know, of course some of us go, Inland, isn't that from the 40s, you know, when they were making, I guess these guys acquired the rights to the name. They started producing M1 carbines, reproductions. They're a bit pricey. They're up there. I think they're running like $1,500 or $2,000. And they also have their 1911, their GI styled 1911. And their take on that is if Inland was to make 1911s back in World War II, this is what it would look like. You know, so that's kind of their idea looking at that. I think the MSRP on those things is close to around the $700 mark. So here's a Colt, another Colt. This is called the Government Model Series 80. Some people don't like the Series 80 system. That's something else you want to take a look at. If you're not a fan of the Series 80 system, some people say, you know, it adds to the trigger pull, you know, all this kind of stuff to it. Honestly, owning the Series 80 Colt, I don't really have a problem with the Series 80 because it does have a pretty crisp trigger, and I've done a few range videos with this thing. It shoots really well. I can't really complain. You can switch out that whole system if you want. You can go on Brownells and get the little block and put it in the frame and remove the firing pin stop and the slide. I've done a video or two on that, talking about that. But this one's pretty much got, you know, upgrades, but still sticking to the original look. You know, you do have better sights. You know, the rear sight is opened up a little bit better. You got the 3-dot system. And all that. I got close-up videos of all these guns. Check it out on the channel. You can see the close-up videos in full HD and stuff, where you can actually really see all the details very closely. This time around, we're just really talking about the price. These things, these Colt Government models, I noticed on Bud's Gun Shop, they let them go for fairly cheap. Bud's Gun Shop, you're talking under $1,000 for a Colt, you know, configuration like this. Really neat, you know, to see that you can now go and get that. You know, with the power of the internet now, the power of the internet, I think, has really affected prices, really, because it's not like how it was where, you know, most people had to go into a gun shop, you know, dance around the, you know, do the little dance with the guy talking about prices and all that, and then of course he would just lay down the, well, it's $1,500, you know, because it's a Colt, blah 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 blah. Now I think when everybody has their cell phones, you can just go and check prices and run around and gun shop prices and just shop around. And really, I think people are more keen to finding it online, finding it on an auction, going, okay, here it is, you know, it's, this guy's telling me, you know, $1,300, here it is for $700, even with shipping and a transfer fee to an FFL, I'm still coming out way ahead than what this guy's trying to charge me. You know, drawback, yes, you don't get to handle that specific gun that you're buying. You know, sometimes somebody likes to look at the exact one that they're buying, but, you know, sometimes when you just don't care about that, you know, you just know, like, I mean, I don't mind paying, you know, a couple extra bucks, you know, for something that's right there in the shop and supporting the shop, you know, but when we're talking about hundreds of dollars, then you start talking about that there's a difference. Okay, so anyway, that's it. You know, really, what is the price of a 1911? What should you pay? You know, just kind of talking about that, you know, in the middle of prices where you start talking about the, I like to say the safe range of prices is that $500, $600, $700 range. You know, you got the low end of $5, the you know, the $7, and then right in the middle the $6. You know, and that generally can get you a really good 1911. And I'm not saying that these other ones that are like coming in at the $400 mark are not good, because they are. They shoot really well. I've actually handled a lot of those and checked them out. My friend owns a Thesis, so, or a Thesis. Maybe we can get that in and work that into the channel so you can get a good look at that and what to expect. I did check out the Remington R1 1911s that they came out with in 2011 for the 100-year anniversary. Those things are pretty cool. I used to have one. I sold it, but we can get another one back in for the channel for review, so we'll check it out. But anyway, so yeah, it's just kind of really the features, what you want to look for, you know, prices wise. Hey, but if you can afford it, by all means, you know, I mean, if I could afford it, heck yeah, just give me that $5,000 1911. I'll check it out. Why not? Let's see how I like it, you know. But I think it does become hard with the market when these other types of brands of pistols, without really saying their names, are coming in and producing pistols that are extremely reliable, extremely accurate for that $500 to $600 price tag. You know, it does start to come into that factor. One thing that I actually I'll talk about real quick on my Kimber, like that I was always concerned with, because a Kimber, I think my thoughts on the Kimber really basically is it's a great pistol. It's about as how would you say, is custom, and let's see, what's the words I'm looking for, is about as custom as you can get as a production line 1911, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's still a production 1911, but it's got custom touches to it. You know, there's a lot of things that they went over that it is different than your other usual 1911s. One of the things that I know is right away that I like is a lot of it is beveled off or polished off, and it doesn't have any sharp edges. There's no sharp edges around the muzzle, around the ejection port. I mean, you can pretty much rub your hand all through it and not get cut up. And I've actually been cut from some of the other 1911s where the edges here are really sharp. Unlike the Kimbers, they're nicely rounded off. They're smooth. They're not sharp and they're jagged. The other thing was tolerances on these 1911s. You always hear that about the guys saying that, well, the tolerances are really tight, it requires a break-in, and you know, man, you can, I've seen some videos where they take the 1911, they, you know, and then, oh, okay, there, you know, okay, gotta work it in, you know, that's really great. You know, it shoots really accurate, it locks up tight so that everything is tight, so when that bullet leaves the barrel and everything like that, everything is just smooth running, and you're basically putting bullets into bullet holes on the paper. But downside of that is, if dirt in it or anything, you drop that thing, chances of it jamming is pretty good, because the tolerances are really tight. Guys who talk about the old war guns and say, man, that gun's rattles, you know, the slide the frame is all sloppy. Well, that's actually what made that gun work. that's, you know, during war times, you know, when they were picking those things up out of, you know, off the ground and stuff, it had, you know, dust, debris, whatever, dirt in it, and it still fired. That's what made that gun work. Same thing like an AK-47. It's really loose. Everything is all loose in there. That's why a gun keeps trucking along. So, you know, that's kind of a concern if you start thinking about it. That's why it's kind of always funny to me. I don't understand it quite like well, like when you see like the advertisements for some of those really high-end custom guns, and you know those tolerances are super tight, and that gun is super accurate, and it's going to punch holes right on paper, right where it needs to be. But you always see it being displayed by some guy, you know, he's got the, you know, the whole gimmick on, the chest plates and everything like that, and he's, you know, he's got dirt all over his face or whatever. But I'm like thinking, but if that gun got any dirt in it, it would jam. You know, I guess, I don't know, you know, so it's just something I thought about, something I threw out there, you know, in this video anyway. But my Kimber here, you know, it's got, it has loosened up a little bit, you know, you can hear it. It's not so loose where it's ridiculous, but it's loose enough where I think that this thing will shuck off any debris and still fire and be accurate. The very first video we did with this gun, actually, we took it out in the rain and everything like that, and we buried it in a little bit in a cement sand and still fired it, and it worked flawless. It did not jam. That video that we did, we took it out there, seriously, there was no jams. We did not edit out any jams. It trucked right along. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there, talk a little bit about it. 1911s, prices. It's been a little while since we've talked about 1911s on the channel, so I figured we'd do it so right here on the channel, BATJAC J.W. And give another shout out to a great pistol, the 1911. One of my favorite pistols, definitely. It's just a sexy gun, and it shoots great, and who doesn't like a nice 45? Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. You know, feel free, leave your comments below what your thoughts are on the prices and 1911s and things like that. Again, you know, just kind of going over a lot of the features and price points. I'm not knocking any of the expensive 1911s. I'm just looking at it a standpoint from somebody like myself that really just can't afford to go drop $3,000 or more on a pistol, you know. And what do we have out there in the market, you know? So I think that's something else that I wonder about these other companies when they're producing pistols that are $3,000, $5,000, you know, $8,000. They're not getting to guys like me. You know, I can't afford to get one of their guns in my hand and own it and shoot it right currently, you know, with the financials. But you know, that's one thing I must say about Kimber is you can go in a Bud's gun shop right now and buy a Kimber for $800-900, okay, and that'll be a pretty darn decent 1911, okay. And then they also offer a $1,700 1911, a $2,000 1911. So I believe the Kimber Desert Warrior retails for about $1,400, $1,500, $1,600, something like that, around there. Again, I bought mine off a gun broker. It came down in price. I had to save some money and got it, but glad I did. It's a nice 1911. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys.